In 1975, Truman Capote struggled with a case of writer's block. Having risen to fame a decade earlier for writing the literary classics, In Cold Blood, and Breakfast at Tiffany's, the acclaimed writer, who was remarkably open about his homosexuality, had managed to surround himself with a coterie of rich, glamorous New York socialites whom he nicknamed his Swans. Capote ingratiated himself into these doyens' lives and became one of their closest confidants, only to expose their most intimate secrets in La Côte Basque, 1965, an excerpt published in Esquire from his, ultimately unfinished, magnum opus, Answered Prayers. The retaliation was swift. Capote's high society ladies closed ranks, banishing the novelist from the glitz and glamour of high society that he loved so much. The dramatic fallout sent Capote into a drug-fueled spiral of self-destruction from which he would ultimately never recover. He died August 25, 1984, a month before his 60th birthday, in the Los Angeles home of his longtime friend Joanne Carson, ex-wife of the late-night television host Johnny Carson. Nearly 50 years later, that scandal takes center stage once again in Ryan Murphy's Feud, Capote vs. the Swans, an 8-part series that premieres Wednesday on FX and streams the next day on Hulu. Written by John Robin Bates and mostly directed by Gus Van Sant, the juicy second season of Feud dramatizes Capote's greatest betrayal against the backdrop of a bygone era of New York City. The first season, which premiered in 2017, explored the bitter rivalry between Hollywood royalty Bette Davis and Joan Crawford. The White Lotus star Tom Hollander plays Capote, and a bevy of actresses who rose to prominence in the 1990s and early aughts play his Swans. Naomi Watts stars as Babe Paley, a Vogue fashion editor and wife of CBS chief Bill Paley. Diane Lane as Slim Keith. Chloe Sevigny as CZ Guest. Callista Flockhart as Lee Radziwill, sister of Jackie Kennedy Onassis, and Demi Moore as Anne Woodward. Joanne Carson, though not a Swan, is played by Molly Ringwald. He knew that he was a tourist in their world, and at some level they thought he was lucky to be there, Hollander said of Capote's imposter syndrome among the Swans during a January 22 press conference. So when they felt he turned, they were vicious. From you. You were the adornment in our house. You are not our equal. I think, at some level, he probably knew that, which is why he writes Côte Basque in the way that he does, because at some level he's enraged at his own position. That dramatic tension appealed to Bates, an award-winning playwright and screenwriter perhaps best known for creating the ABC drama series, Brothers and Sisters, which was one of the first shows to depict a same-sex wedding on network TV. Bates said he grew up reading Capote's Incandescent writing in the 1970s and 80s.